Oh, Fitness Pro Mentor community, it has been a little while. We've had some stuff going on. We are now back in 2023. Glen has had a knee replacement. He's got a robo knee with hydraulics put in there and a little gas booster. He's going to be flying around with one leg.
ACL, but that's okay.
ACL surgery, knee replacement, same thing. But we're excited because today, Glen and I have been doing some research on what has been working really well for our students in our own businesses, looking at the social media landscape. And there's some really interesting things we've been talking about with purity, keywords, some neat stuff that Glen's going to talk about later. That's actually his pick of the week that he told me about. So I'm jumping ahead. But more importantly, happy 2023. Glen, how are you?
I'm excited to be back. I know we took a bit of a hiatus. I think it was nice for everyone to have a regular Christmas, maybe, holiday season, whatever you celebrate. It's been weird the past couple of years, but it's nice to get to see family and friends again. I don't have to worry too much about that. So happy camp. We're over here. What about you? How was your holiday season, Brad?
It was insane. As many of you know, I've got 2 kids and they are beautiful, but one is 3.5, one's 18 months, one is walking a lot, and one thinks all the presents is his. So it was like chasing a chimpanzee and a puppy around all of my neighbors' houses, my family's houses, but it was really, really great. Honestly, it really brought the magic of Christmas and the holidays back, which I feel like wasn't there until I had kids. It kind of made it feel fun again,
Oh, that's great. I think that's one of the beautiful things from what I understand about having kids is all the stuff that you really enjoyed about your childhood, you get to share with them and see them enjoy it too. And I imagine it makes it quite special. I don't know about it personally, but I can imagine.
We did Elf on the Shelf, which was a lot of fun, setting him up. But my son's obsessed with Corvettes. And we said, what do you want to name your elf that's going to visit? He goes, Corvy. For Corvette. I'm like, okay. So Corvy the elf was in the house. Anyway, everyone, Glen, we're going to jump in. What do you think?
Let's go to it. Let's do it.
So I want to start off with this kind of idea with social media. I mean, things have changed a lot since 2020. And in reality, if you are watching on the social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, everyone is doing the same thing now. And in fact, truthfully, we have taught some of these strategies because there are some specific visual and shapes in the new, reel like TikTok, Instagram shape that really works. And there are things that don't work. And this brings up a story for me. As many of you know, I'm a passionate drummer and I have a whole social media page and thing for my drum stuff that's just my own nerdy, gratuitous drum solo playing. And I'm doing some drum fitness stuff there, which is really fun. I'm really excited about. There's some cool stuff coming up with that. But one of the things is that there is one particular person, this one particular social media entity, and I got to tell you, every time I see him post, I hate it. He's the cheesy guy. He's doing he's making goofy faces for every single shot. And I remember seeing him in 2018 when I started my drum page. I remember seeing this guy and I was like, why is he making such a goofy face? I don't like it. And it would move on. Well, turns out this guy that had 1,000 followers at that time today has over 150,000 followers and has curated quite an online business with a membership website, all based off of the visuals that he created off of his goofy face and very beginner, simple playing. Here's what's very interesting about that is if I show you this drummer, which if anyone wants to see it, I'll send it to you. Every post looks exactly the same. Same blonde-haired, goofy-looking guy making his crazy face, playing drums, and every reel looks exactly the same. But that consistency sets a precedence. Every image has a happy guy with drums with some text on it that acts as keywords. His simplicity and imaging and message that he shows with his fun face is a very welcoming environment for beginner musicians. And after seeing that and seeing his insane growth by really not sharing any very advanced ideas at all, but in a fun way that new young musicians would see and go, oh, this guy's a cool drummer. Because everyone knows drummers make crazy faces, right? He's a crazy face making drummer. And so here's the thing that we're going to talk about this today, because truthfully, in social media land, if you want to be seen by people that are not your current audience, you need to be consistent. And there's some interesting things about that, which I know Glen did a whole YouTube page that you may not know about, and he did an incredible job of scaling and growing it in a short period of time. So what you got for us? Go.
So there's so many different places we go with this. Should we talk about the consistency piece first and why it's so important, or should we talk about how the algorithm works? We could go either way.
Let's go algorithm first.
Okay, algorithm.
Because then consistency will double back.
So I started this YouTube page, and openly and honestly, it was more of a fun endeavor. I wanted to try to see if I can earn some extra income. I want to learn a little bit more about how YouTube works. I think it's a wonderful platform. And quite frankly, the way the world is going right now, is with all the different AI tools that are out there, all the different other tech companies that are emerging, it's becoming easier and easier for independent solo entrepreneurs to create multi-million-dollar businesses. And that's not a lie. There are people that do that because all the tools are available. It's no longer for these big companies, it's for everyone. Now, when we talk about my journey through YouTube here, what I was really trying to learn and figure out is what makes things clickable, what makes things watchable. Because at the end of the day, this is really what algorithms look for, whether it's social media, whether it's YouTube, whether it's search engine optimization, is it wants to know that wherever people are being directed to, that it's going to hold their attention for a long time. Because if it's holding their attention for a long time, that means it's doing its job. It means it's the right thing to be showing people. If people are clicking onto something after a query, and they're very quickly clicking off of that and they're backtracking out of that page, or they're not spending a lot of time there, YouTube search, Google search, social media search, it all knows that this is not the thing it should be showing to people, so it gets down-regulated. So all the time, really what algorithms are trying to do is help people find what they're looking for, and if they're a social media platform, they're trying to keep people on there. Because if people are spending a long time on a social media platform, it means the social media platform can show more ads, and if it can show more ads, it means it's going to earn more revenue. That's really what social media is all about. And so algorithmically, it would make sense for social media platforms, SEO, all that kind of stuff, to be able to collect as much information and data as possible to make sure that it's showing the right material to the right things. So this is really the depth of social media, and this is really the depth of the YouTube algorithm and what I learned from my time on it, which is that every social media platform, whenever you post something, this is the depth of what things are being looked at. The algorithm will look at every single frame of your video or of your clip, and it'll analyze every little piece that's in there. So right now, we are in our YouTube, our podcasting studio. And when this goes live on YouTube, or goes live on Spotify, when it goes live on YouTube, it's gonna pick up different things. Every frame, it's gonna know that there's a male, it's gonna know that there's strata involved, it's going to see that spine in the background, it's gonna see that whiteboard, it's gonna see that logo, it's gonna see that hockey stick, it's gonna see all these different things. And based on all that stuff, it's going to start creating different categories for each of those different pieces. Now, in addition to that, every single word that I'm speaking, that Brandon speaks, is going to be categorized. And the algorithm is going to analyze what it is that we're talking about over the duration of this podcast. Now, in conjunction with that, all the text that we would put into our YouTube description, the hashtag keywords that we would use, it's going to analyze all that information. So think about that. If we're uploading something that's 30 frames per second, that means there's going to be for a 60-second, for example, a 60-second video, whatever 30 times 60 is, what is that? 1,800?
Sounds about right.
1,800 different little categories analyzing everything that's in every single different shot. And based on all this different information, YouTube is trying to figure out what this video is about and who it's for so it can showcase this information to people. And if I do a YouTube podcast right with Brandon, and we're hitting on the same things consistently, and the stuff in the background looks like it's for a podcast about health and fitness, and what we're saying and is meeting with the words that are in the description, it's going to be able to show that to the right people. And if they like it and they keep watching it as content that people like, it's going to show it to more and more different individuals. The reason I'm saying that is because I really want you, the people that are at home watching this, to really get the depth of the algorithm. No longer is it just about your keywords and a single image that's in a YouTube, that might be your thumbnail art. It is literally every single second is everything they're talking about congruent. Because if one day Brandon and I do a podcast on cars, and then one day we do a podcast on parenting, and one day we do a podcast on the TV show Jack Ryan, 3 very different things. Now, if we do these podcasts in all these different places, the algorithm's gonna have no idea what we're about. It's gonna have no idea who to show this to. There's gonna be no consistency in what we're creating, and we're not gonna see any kind of growth. But because Brandon and I always talk about health and fitness related concepts around market, help you grow your business. We use a lot of the same tags, a lot of the same keywords when we speak, and everything's congruent. More and more people are getting exposed to our content on YouTube and on Spotify, and our numbers keep going up consistently because the algorithm knows who to put this in front of and who to show this to. I'm going to take a step back and digress here and see if Brandon has anything he wants to add on to this. But the real thing I want to put out to you is the algorithm is really, really deep now on every social media platform. And if you're not being consistent, with your messaging, with the background that you have, with the keywords that you use, and your ideal target audience, who your content is for, you're not going to be seen by anyone. And you're going to wonder why you're not growing.
Well, you can tell Glenn spent a lot of time on this, and I want to kind of double back on that point, but I want to show you guys something really quickly. I don't know what this is going to do visually, but if you were hanging around in the live, there you go. You can't see Glenn and I right now, but I just am screen sharing, and you guys can see this is a picture of my Instagram, and this is the drummer I was talking about. And you guys can see 115,000 followers, and all of his images, except for like one or two, is him smiling, looking at the camera. And so more important, trying to exemplify the consistency thing that Glenn was just talking about, that everything is happy drummer guy in the same room, in the same space, and every frame is consistent. And even the keywords he puts over top of it: quick drum fill, practical drum fill, nasty drum shot, fun fill, look, easy, listen to learn, you know, all these very simple words. And so this is what's really interesting. I'll give you another example. And I want to come back to Glenn's YouTube stuff because he's like invested a lot of time into this and has a lot of knowledge on it. But I stumbled into the YouTube stuff with my drum stuff, and it was purely by accident. And I just happened to hit a niche, and it helped to grow my stuff with terrible content, relatively speaking, which is great and really, really cool. The thing about it that worked really well is that I had drums in the background, and there were always drums around when I was doing it. I actually did a video where I was purely in the gym talking about stuff for drummers. But what's so interesting about it for me is that using the same language, the same camera, the same microphone, the same messaging in a different landscape, that video arguably got some of the worst viewership I ever had, because there was nothing that lined up with the drum ergonomic keywords I was using and where I was in an actual gym. And so this is what's really important, and it kind of doubles back on the Glenn's point, is that there needs to be consistency with every single frame and every single inch of everything that you do. Right now, the podcasting is actually like a keyword niche, and fitness podcasting is its own thing, more popular than drum podcasting. You know what I mean? And that's where, truthfully, actually, in the example you were talking about where you said, you know, the Jack Ryan episode one day, fitness one day, that almost works in some cases because it's a podcast, and podcasting has a universal, its own niche. But the more niche and more specific you can be, the more consistent you are going to be seen. So coming back to that Stu Fagan guy that I just showed him, that was the name of the drummer, you can see the whole thing looks exactly the same. And it's evident that if you are a car driving past this social media screen as fast as you can, you'll go stop and you'll see it's the same thing. And that's what's really important. And almost, anyway. So, yeah.
Can you pull up our Instagram real quick?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So I just want to highlight, so because we've been noticing all this different stuff.
The Strata one?
Yeah, the Strata one. We have been consistently trying to have very, very similar looking content over and over again. And what you'll notice, even with our stuff here, oh, that's not the one.
Don't worry, trust me.
Okay, he's getting to it. Oh, let's wait till that pops up there. Now, I'm sorry if you're listening along at home or watching along at home, you can look up Strata Intro Performance on Instagram, all one word. And what you actually notice with ours here is that there's some consistency here that we have out here, which is our color scheme is all very similar. Most everything is pictures and images of our gym. And so the algorithm actually knows that this is Strata, this is our location, because it picks up, you stay right here for a second. You can even see that there's a guy doing a front squat, right, on the right-hand side, and then that same barbell cage is in the background, in the middle, and the top. The way this looks, the feel, the color, even the fonts that we use, for the most part, all very similar. It's not a mistake or a slip-up that we have the same consistent copy and the same consistent font that we choose when we make our Instagram Reels all the time. Sure, there's a little bit of variation here for when we're promoting events, but we use the same font for that same beautiful consistency. And this works for us. Now, we don't have hundreds and thousands of different kinds of followers here, but that's because we're going to talk about this shortly. The way we think about our Instagram and what we use it for might actually be different than the way someone who runs an online business might use it for.
Well, I think this is important to talk about. Like, I want to quickly show, you guys can probably see that I have, you know, quote unquote, as the business owner, I post pictures of my family once in a while. And not to exemplify my kids, but I want to showcase that this is Maxwell, my son. We're in the gym space. And I've tagged the gym, and it's got the gym name, right? This is very clear that this is in Strata. This still lines up with all the keyword stuff. Now that post specifically, and we'll talk about personal posts, this will almost never bring new business. But what it does is two things. One, current business who follow the page and are fans go, "Aw, family's in there. That's great." And that helps our older women demographic. We got a lot of grandmothers that come in here. Two, for people who are passing by and are not current, they're not current business, this also shows like a friendly family feel that we're pretty comfortable in here. Great. Now, what about another post? What about, look, we got Glen's educational post, right? This is clearly, even though this is a marketing piece, right? How to exercise for a strong pain-free neck, as Glen personal training one of his clients in the gym. Same color, same vibe. It is a marketing piece that has a different purpose, but it looks a little different and is still cohesive, right? Even here, Chris and I, we're doing something for a local event, right? But we're still in the gym. Glen's got a bunch of great ones. And you won't be able to hear these, but you can see here another one. Glen's client doing an exercise. He's doing an explainer. And here's what's really important about this, right? We have the yellow background. We have the Strata logo on Glen's shirt. We have the dictation that's going with Glen. We've got the client happening. The dictation is saying words like dumbbells and fitness, which is lining up with the keywords below. Below in the reel, teaching your shoulder new things, feeling good. And all of this lines up to one cohesive, this is a place where fitness happens. And so this is great because truth is, every little video that we have of different people doing different things is in the same space. You know who we're not going to attract? Bodybuilders, muscle heads, right? Glen knew right away where I was going with this because we're not trying to attract them. This isn't for them. So it's kind of fun because this nice consistency is working really, really well across the whole thing.
Now, if we were to scroll all the way down to our early days, you would see a whole bunch of inconsistency. It'd probably take a while to get down there because at this point, I mean, you can see
we've been crushing it for a long time.
Yeah, we've been trying to get things going for a long time. But if you go down low enough, you'll see Brandon's real earlier stuff. Maybe it doesn't even make sense to go down because it'd take a while to get down.
It's gonna take too long to get there.
Yeah, it was gonna take too long to get there for sure. Yeah, let's not even worry about that because we have to go for a while. You would see how inconsistent it would be, and I'm willing to bet that for a lot of people where their social media is not working for them, that would be an issue. Now, one thing I want to touch upon now, and this is as good of time as any, is to talk a little bit about maybe the goal of your social media.
Pause that. I'll say this quickly, and this is leaning with what we just showed you with the Strata page. Our page has grown in 10% viewership since the last half of last year from changing those strategies. So I want to just kind of point out that the new strategies that we've been using, the consistency, 10% growth.
Right.
Because it lines up with where you're going.
Right. So there's going to be an important thing to distinguish here, is there are some people who their businesses are strictly online, and maybe they're selling other products like programming, where it's not necessarily about having someone come in to see them one-to-one multiple times a week, but it's about selling a higher volume of services, or maybe it's about selling their one-to-one online coaching services. Now, for us, our goal through our Instagram isn't necessarily to have a huge viewership. In fact, I'll speak for myself here when I talk about my personal Instagram, and maybe Brandon can mirror or echo if it's the same for our Strata one. My goal for my personal Instagram and the stuff I do for Strata isn't necessarily to try to increase our viewership. The way we look at it for Strata is it's more about showcasing, almost like a resume, to people who are considering our services. I see Brandon slowly nodding along to the left, so I know I'm on the right track here. We are using this so that when people are considering our services or have heard about us as a referral from a friend and are kind of on the fence, when they go to our page, they're seeing a couple different things. They're seeing that people like them are exercising in a place that they feel comfortable in, getting the results that they want. Like Brandon said, because our ideal target audience are going to be these 60 to 65-year-old people skewed more towards women, we show more women exercising, doing unique exercise and a little bit more family-oriented stuff to show them that this is the kind of place that they'd love to work out in. Because what are they used to? For the most part, honestly, boot camps where it could be no pain, no gain, or going to big box gyms where there's a whole bunch of variety of people working out, getting really, really sweaty. They tend to not feel too confident in those kind of places. They see our Instagram, which is very representative of the population that we have come to our gym. They see people like them exercising. So for us, the short of the long is that we are trying to use our Instagram more as a resume, as social proof to get them to take the next step, which is constantly saying, hey, I'd love to come in for a consultation. I saw people like me exercising on your page. I heard you really great from a friend of mine. what's the next steps? If you're online, you go from your local community, which is what we are trying to promote to all of a sudden having potentially 6 or 7 billion people that you could work with. Even though you have an ideal target audience, as long as there's an internet connection, they might potentially be able to work with you. And so does it make sense to have your social media be exactly like ours? Probably not. In fact, you have to focus a heck of a lot more on your online presence, probably doing that 5, 6, 7, 8 times more than we are, and really trying to get nitty gritty with it in order to grow your audience. Because those people that start following you consistently and are your audience online, you have to warm them up enough to the point where they see that you're the right person for them. And then when you reach out to them, or you have a conversion event, or they reach out to you, they're ready to go. And so there has to be this understanding of delineation about how someone would use their social media and their Instagram if they're doing one-to-one in-person services versus if their goal is to grow an online business rather than done it strictly through the internet.
So this is where 100% with you, Glenn, and I have a few things I want to talk about. This is where I scrolled back while Glenn was talking several years. This is I think this is year 2, maybe even year 1.
Click on the post, let's see.
Well, so this, I mean, if you just look at this here, you can see, like, first of all, it's a pretty muddy looking grid, right? There's no consistency here. And there are some nice photos of clients. Like, we do have a client photo here. We've got some people working out here, another client. And then there's our last staff party that we did. I mean, this was like a while ago, 2019. So that was fun. And then client cool, big happy New Year's. And I want to kind of point out, this is fine, but this is a really unattractive looking poster, right? Like, it's very plain. You can kind of get away with it. But the problem is we did a bunch of these. And this is where this one I really don't like, and I'm actually going to probably delete it after looking at this. But like, there's nothing about this that is Strata, right? It's orange. It says new class starting at Strata. The only thing on there that's Strata-centric is the name and the phone number, right? Oh, here's another one, right? Exercising. Us again, me talking in the gym. Right. And then we got a few things that are starting to kind of get back in the fitness centric thing. But those interruptions of posts that don't look very cohesive at all are bigger. Right. Another one, this is the CPR one. And this is fine. Right. This is kind of an announcement for people in here. But you can see that as far as Instagram would know, this is a fitness centric thing. And this kind of breaks things up.
But just so even on the computer screen, go back to that. Look at how muddied and congested this post is. There's so many things going on in this post, and no one can read all those little details. Yeah. The second you overload people with that much wording on your post, that much copy, they're gone. It's too much. Their brain automatically says, I don't want to look at this anymore. Purely
from an Instagram perspective, if all the information needs to be there, because this was a CPR class that Margaret was doing here, and I could see why the information would need to be here. One thing that would be very easy to do is you see all the photos on the side? Instead of having 4 smaller photos, you could either do 1 larger photo or 2 larger photos of people in the gym. I would almost even stage it. Like, personally, if someone was going to do CPR in here now, I would have someone hold a CPR doll and take a picture of them in the gym, because then you would get the CPR aspect and then you'd be able to connect it to the facility and have cohesiveness amongst the grid. Anyway, so here's a couple like quick Coles notes. Let me get rid of this here. A couple Coles notes for you guys, and then I'll let kind of Glenn do his thing a little bit more. We have a couple things. One, the posts themselves need to be consistent. So you got to pick like a specific color scheme, a specific place, and do them all in the same place. If you're trying to promote personal training services, you promoting it in front of a microphone like I am right now and Glenn has done is not going to be the way to get exposure for your gym, right? It could be very professional and good for your current business, but it's not going to attract new people because nothing about this scene here says personal training. It says professional, podcast, maybe personal trainer, but unlikely. So you need consistency, and it needs to line up with your messaging, right? Everything needs to be cohesive. Once you choose that medium, everything needs to be the same almost going forward. Variations, but the same thing, right? How many different ways can you make a chocolate cake, right? If you go to a cake store, they have tons of different cakes. Chocolate cake, different types of chocolate cake, vanilla cake, banana crumble, I don't know. But tons of cakes. They don't have steak in there, right?
Banana crumble.
Is that a real one?
No, I don't know.
Anyway, it sounds like it is. Anyway, we made it up now. See, yeah. Look, and this is the idea, is that it's all kind of the same. So you walk in and you know it's a cake shop. You go to a cake shop and you have all these salami cold cuts sitting out there. Like, well, this isn't a very good cake shop. And that's exactly what the AI of Instagram, Google, and Facebook recognize, is inconsistency amongst your medium. So you have to do a couple things. One, posts that hit all the markers. How many different times can you say fitness, personal training, helping people with pain, or whatever your medium is? How can you make sure every post says the same thing? And then how do you make sure that your entire grid, when you walk into the storefront, screams this is a cake shop. This is a personal training studio. Because if you don't have that, if your grandma and your grandpa can't look at it and go, I know what you do here, no one's going to know what you do. And that comes all the way back to what Glenn was saying with the YouTube algorithm stuff, which I think is a great place to kind of go to.
I mean, and all algorithms are like this at this point. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they all have this amazing depth to their algorithms to help keep people on their platform. And it makes sense because they're all trying to compete with each other at this point for attention. And so if we take a step back even further, we look at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever social media platform that you're on, if people are going to be searching for you on Google, or they're looking for someone to help them lose body fat in Newmarket, or for us, like Move and Exercise Pain-Free in Newmarket Personal Training to help them solve movement, pain, mobility problems. The algorithm for Google will look at collectively all your different outlets that are associated with your name, and it'll see, is this consistent or is it not? If on Facebook you help people lose body fat, and then on TikTok you help people get stronger and build muscle, and then on Instagram you help the elderly people move and exercise pain-free, Google doesn't really know what you do. So why would it show it to anyone? Because in the way it's set up and the way it thinks, quote unquote, is I don't really know who this person's for, so I don't really know who to show it to. So let's bump that down on the list. However, if you're using some of the same clips and you're using consistency in your wording and using consistency in your photos in your YouTube, and it's all very consistent across the board, the Google algorithm, when people are searching for you, knows who you're for. And there's a much better chance you're gonna get bumped up sooner up in that list. Because let's be honest, if you're not on the first page, you might as well be on the last one. People aren't clicking through that much. And there's other things that are gonna help your Google SEO. A big one is going to be the amount of reviews that you have. And within those reviews, are those people talking about very similar things that you say you're helping them with? Not the most important thing, but it definitely helps. If you and a competitor have virtually the same content and you've got 100 reviews and they have 15, you better believe that you're gonna be bumped up first. And yes, does it pay to put a little bit of money into Google because they like to see that too? Sure, but not all of us have the money to spend on that. And B, if you can't already get your page at least to the first, to your website to the first page without paying for it, then you're already not doing enough consistency with your marketing and your messaging to begin with. And that's what you should be focusing on before you really put any money into your business anyways. But the big picture here is that we are trying to get, when people search for us, to be the number one hit. And what that really comes down to is consistency in your platforms across the board. And if taking consistency in platforms across the board, it means that you better have consistent messaging with each and every one of your posts and videos in every single one of your individual platforms, because that is how the algorithm knows exactly who to show you to. Which is why you need to start today, come up with a really simple strategy to help you optimize all that content. Thinking about different easy templates that you can use, color schemes that you want to use, fonts that you want to use, messaging that you want to use, topics that you talk about, keywords that you want to use, and make your messaging about those things. If you can know what those things are and just try to incorporate that into each individual post, everything else will take care of itself.
You're not allowed to be second place. I want you guys to push yourself to be number one. Honestly, challenge yourself. Do everything you can to stand out. You know, if you get B+ going consistently, and then how do you make it as clean and A+ and powerful as possible? So I think that's a great place to put a pin in it. I mean, the Glen kind of alluded on a lot of things that we've done previous episodes on around Google reviews and social proof and all that stuff. But you got to be it needs to all be saying the same thing. It needs to be clear that when someone walks into your space, what it is that you do and who do you see. The number of times people come in this gym, you're like, you know what, it's great that you work with older women here. This is great. I've had a lot of people say that, and people know that, and it works really well from both demographic, psychographic, and then consistency perspective. So,
yeah, I would say if you're the only joint in town that does what you do, you will be busy. And the fact that we're pretty much the only joint in town that does what we do, we're busy.
Well, no one else can. And that's what makes it great.
Well, and there
that's part of it.
Well, there are other people that may do similar things or tell people they do similar things that we do, but their marketing, their messaging is so diluted because they're also mixing hypertrophy in there and fat loss and all that kind of stuff with way different age groups. People don't know what they're about. Well, and they have a hard time keeping their business because of it.
Yeah, and this is the thing, is that at this point, Strata and my consistency at all has been so strong that if someone opened the exact same business next door, it would take them almost a decade to catch up to us because the reputation we have amongst so many people, it would just be like they're second best, even if they weren't, right? Even if they were technically better, they'd have to work so much harder to establish themselves over top of us, which is great. And that's why you need to be doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
So,
Brandon,
in case you haven't been around for a little while, we do this thing called the Pick of the Week. And the reason why I'm kind of bringing that up is because in these episodes, I like the idea of adding a bit of personal flair and some things that might benefit you that we're up to. So, I'm going to tell my Pick of the Week first because I tell I just jumped over top of you. What do you say?
I'm absolutely go for it. We had one viewer stick around to the Pick of the Week. A lot of times in the past, these Pick of the Weeks have been personal, so maybe not as interested for the person trying to grow their business. I promise you today, stick around if you're still listening for the Pick of the Week, because I think the one, at least I'm going to share, is I think it's going to be gangbusters, and it really is the future of marketing, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, mine is slightly personal, but I'm going to make it as quick as possible because Glen's is very good. Honestly, since the business has started getting closed down, I really didn't give myself permission to enjoy anything personally. I was very much focused on just my family and focusing just on Strata and FPM, and I did not give myself permission to do anything else. I have been exploring my arts more and more, and just doing like what I'm loving within business more. And I got to tell you how much I'm loving it. So I just want to encourage you guys, you got to do the things to grow, but find the things about the stuff that's growing that you love and dive in, and you will have a lot more fun and feel really good. Glen, what's your Pick of the Week, man?
Okay. So if you spend any time on the internet at all, you may have noticed this thing start coming up, people talking about it a little bit more. It's called ChatGPT. It's run off of something called OpenAI, I believe. And it's a pretty amazing tool. Right now, it is open to the public to use, at least a certain version of it. And what it is it's an AI that's so sophisticated that you can ask it questions and prompts, and it will create and generate responses and content for you. Now, the reason why this is so huge and so big is because you can ask it some really complex questions that up until now, AIs couldn't really handle, or at least it wasn't open to the public. And so what I'd encourage everyone to do after this is go open up ChatGPT. If you find openai.com, that's the one, and sign up and play around with it. You can ask it all sorts of questions. You can ask it things like, write me a 500-word essay on the movie The Princess Bride, and it'll write you a 500-word essay on that. You can ask it to critique the themes in a 500-word essay, and it will do that. Now, the amazing thing is if you are just starting your marketing journey, or even if you have some experience, you can use this tool. Yeah, pop it right now. I'll open up if you can. It might take a little bit of time to sign up. That's it right there, openai.com. You can use this to start discovering things in marketing about business that you might not have access to before. So to give you an example, you can search up things like, for a business that offers personal training and exercise to help people move and exercise pain-free, what are the top 10 keywords and hashtags to include in my Instagram? And it will generate a list of the top 10 things you can ask it for. If you want to create printable gym shirts and sell them, you can ask things like, please give me 10 ideas for printable gym t-shirts for women that like to squat. And it'll give you ideas. And I played around with this. It comes up with things, squat squad, squat girls, strong girls squat. It comes with all sorts of interesting things.
It says it's at capacity right now, so it can't take new people.
Right. Well, then I guess I got lucky because I got in there early. But all these different things are available. So if you're the kind of person that's struggling with marketing, instead of necessarily to come up with all your own ideas, you can now leverage this algorithm to come up with more information. Now, the caveat I'm going to share with you is it's still an algorithm. And the person that knows your business better than anyone else is you. So take everything it says with a grain of salt and still apply critical thinking to it. This isn't a cop-out where you don't have to learn anything about marketing, more about keywords. However, it can start moving you in the right direction to help you improve your marketing and your business and give you some ideas about what you could talk about and maybe how to deliver it and how to market your business. So I encourage everyone to go at least check out openai.com and sign up for it and play around with the prompts, because this will be the future of marketing as a tool that will be a staple in everyone's businesses. You heard it here first. I can guarantee it.
Everyone, thanks so much for checking out this episode. This was a lot of fun. We were really happy to be back. The Minds on Muscle Show, Glen and Brandon, presented by Fitness Pro Mentors Network. Why not? And everyone, thanks so much. And listen, if you're interested, we just are starting a brand new round of the mentorship on Wednesday. Very excited, but we made some changes on it. We're working on a longer form. It makes it less expensive for you. And I think it's going to be really the great way to go. Because truthfully, people that we do consult them with longer do incredible. And we're really excited to try and modify our offer to make it affordable to help for that exact same thing. But Glen, great seeing you.
Good seeing you too, buddy.
Everybody, have a wonderful Tuesday. And we'll see everybody in the rest of 2023.
We look forward to it, everyone. If you found this helpful, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Share with a friend.
Tell all your friends.
All your friends.
Happy 2023, everybody.